You're listening to the Psychic Coffee Shop Podcast Network.
Well, good evening, and welcome to Mountain Bears. I'm Aeson Knight, and of course with me tonight is Techy Joe. We are going to be talking about a lot of things, and we may even say a few cuss words. So if you got small children around, headphones are preferred. And if you are under 18, it's highly suggested you stop watching us, go visit Scarlet Teen, and get all the information you need there.
Awesome. Yes, so it's been a week.
Hi, Brenda.
Hey, Brenda.
A headache. If it gets worse to migraine level, we will be ending the show early.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah,
it's been a real fun week. It's been a busy week. It always seems to be a busy week. We had a great Patreon live stream last night. If you're not a member of Patreon, you should go check that out. Because we do a monthly live stream with our patrons that's Patreon only, with additional content, questions, and special guests of our lives. All right, then. So, it's been an interesting news week.
Oh, yes. Hello, Terry.
Hello, Terry. All right, so where do we want to start? We want to start with the comparisons, or we want to work local to national?
Oh, let's do the comparison.
Okay.
That's the good one.
So we have the federal government passing the Equality Act. We have the state government barring teachers from teaching sex, sexual education, sexual health, sexual preference, anything to do with sex.
Yeah, basically it's the Don't Say Sexuality bill.
Yes.
West Virginia, and we got into that a little bit, but West Virginia really is going hardcore on that one. And I don't even think they realize what they're doing.
Right.
That's the sad part. That's the stupidly sad part.
Right.
It's just absolutely nuts. Oh, airstrike in Syria. What the hell?
Yeah, we've got an airstrike going on.
Ooh. Ooh. Sorry, guys. I've been on the road today. I've missed a lot. So, yeah. But now with the sexuality bill, effectively, and this was from Delegate Dean Jeffries of Kanawha County, because we'll get into Kanawha County a little more in a little bit. But yeah, explain that the measure is what his constituents find important. Really, West Virginia, this is your most important priority. Constituents in Kanawha County, this is your most important priority. I call bullshit, but that's me. So yeah, like that is not his constituents' top priority.
No. His constituents' top priority would probably be handling Corona, probably handling the HIV outbreak. Oh, I don't know, handling a lot more things than teaching proper sex ed. Maybe because, I don't know, if you're not teaching anything sexual in school, then someone will learn that if you need to get rid of a baby because you and your boyfriend had special time and you got knocked up, you just throw yourself down a flight of steps.
Or one of the other horrible historically sad and unfortunate ways of terminating a pregnancy. But now I do have to give Delegate Cody Thomas credit, independent for Randolph County. His direct quote, and I think everyone needs this in full. I have many concerns with House Bill 2157 as it stands. For one, schools do not teach sexuality. That is not something that you teach. The bill will actually prohibit welcoming displays from student-led organizations to proclaim acceptance for all. Many schools around our state have GSA organizations that promote the unification of all students, regardless of how they identify. If the students and staff of a school want to make an effort to express that all students are welcomed and loved at the school, they should be allowed to. We have heard cries from the far right about freedom of speech. Well, this is exactly that. I have concerns that this could limit our health teachers from teaching about reproductive health as well. This bill is an unnecessary attack on the LGBTQ plus students and their allies. I do not support this bill at all. Young people in high school need to know they're accepted and loved. Far too many of our students who identify as LGBTQ plus are committing suicide or have those thoughts. I will do everything in my power for them to know they're accepted and loved, including fighting against this bill.
Sorry, guys, I can't clap a lot. But here's the whole thing with this bill. It's very much troublesome because we have multiple things going on here. We have them trying to repress sexual education. Parents don't have great timing. They don't have an approach. They don't have an education, especially here in West Virginia. They don't. Sorry.
Well, and that has a variety of issues attached to it. Because now there are some schools, and it's literally sometimes on a school-by-school basis, not even a county school system by county school system basis.
Mm-hmm.
But like Mercer, like Princeton Senior High School, where I went, and I'm talking specifically through the 90s, they started us at 6th grade with the Miracle of Life video.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what's also commonly referred to as the wet St. Bernard trying to come in through the cat door. That's where we started.
Right.
That's where we started. And then it kept going.
Right.
So yeah, like we had a really comprehensive sexual health education. I somehow in my head, even knowing that other school systems were like abstinence only education and that we had like Mercer Christian Academy in Mercer County that does not do a sexual health education program at all.
Mm-hmm.
That, you know, these things are being taught or not. I got that, but I didn't realize how different even having a non-abstinence program could be.
Right.
Until I got to North Carolina. And then like the variety there of like people who, we had sex ed in high school, and it was like one class taught by a health coach or by a coach, and it was like all over the map.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, from the like cinematically depicted, like, don't have sex, you'll get an STD, and then you'll die.
Right.
All the way to like the like use chewing gum things of like abstinence. Like it was just like horrific, the amount of cleanup work, and I really do mean that. We ended up having to do as UNCG Pride, the on-campus LGBTQ student organization, the amount of cleanup we had to do first of like straight sex ed,
mm-hmm.
and then we had to go into gay sex ed.
Right. And see, I am tired. I am an old Papa Bear. I am tired of having this conversation. Oh, hi. How are you? Yeah, yeah. Oh, you've brought your boyfriend along. Okay, cool. How are you two doing? Great. Yada, yada, yada. We're so scared. Yada, yada, yada. What do you mean we need to get tested every 6 months if we're having multiple partners? Yada, yada, yada. Yes, there's more than just an HIV test. You need to have a full sex panel. I've had this conversation so many times. The Board of Education should issue me a damn check.
Yeah, really? Like, and that for like a good chunk of college became something I could damn near do in my sleep.
I can't.
Like, it was just like every year we had to go through this. Every flipping year, because every little group of freshmen came in.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, hi, and welcome to college. Let's explain some things that your pre-college experience forgot to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some things you'll want to know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I.e. condoms coming in multiple sizes, not just colors.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And material.
Pharmacist doesn't give a shit what size you buy.
Huh?
More importantly, the pharmacist does not give a shit what size you're buying, or that you're buying, or etc.
Right.
Like, no one gives a shit.
Right. And I don't know. I had a mix of scientific straight ed, zero gay ed. There were terms that I had to go and look up in the library from watching Logo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That is and when I look up in the library, you go to the card catalog, you flip through to this section, you find a book, you have to go and trace through the shelves, hoping that it's still there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No. Kids now have Google. They now have YouTube. They have Pornhub.
Mm-hmm.
If we do not educate them, and if parents don't have a clue about it, because y'all guys hear about Mama Knight. I don't think she knows what asexual is.
No, I don't think we're really going to have that conversation. And like, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, but
like,
let's say the mentality of, let's say Mama Knight is the standard board policy of every Fayette County parent. Which, by the way, that all birds and the bees talk, never got it.
Yeah.
Ever.
Number of parents don't, and then a lot of parents do it too late. And like, even being on the college side of it, we already knew it was too late.
Right.
Like, we're still trying, we're hoping to catch people before.
Mm-hmm.
But we already know that, like, if you're like, honestly, like, if your child has a double-digit age and you're not talking about sexual health like sex ed to them, and their school system isn't doing it, do not be surprised if you become a grandparent way sooner than you thought.
Right. And then the other part is sex ed, body ed.
Mm-hmm.
That's even more not taught.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I find myself having to give the speeches more and more to straight people because they don't get the memo. I literally had a girl that thought that if she done jumping jacks after sex, that she couldn't get pregnant because it would knock everything out.
Mm-hmm. And I remember in high school, like, this tells you how disparate, like, the school, like, the individual schools were. Okay, I went through school, and by, let's see, what was it, 7th grade, we had to do the great big giant diagram.
Mm-hmm.
In which you label all the parts of the male and all the parts of the female reproductive system. All of them. I was a senior in high school talking to a sophomore sophomore, who was only because of South Park. He heard a word, asked his mother what it meant. She went bleach white. And then he came to school, and in our little group of friends goes, "What's a clitoris?" And so there's one group of people that are like, "Yeah, what is that?" And then there's this other group of people, and then there's me. Like, we know, we can label it, we can find it, we can point to it, we can draw it, we can, explain it. And I proceeded to launch in.
Mm-hmm.
This is what it is. This is where it is at. This is, Hi.
Hi.
How did you miss that?
Right.
Didn't you do a diagram which you had to color code, and like you got graded on this and you had to keep turning it in until you got 100? No, he didn't.
See,
and I went, oh God.
And the commenter, Savia?
Salavi. In my state, at 13, a child can get contraceptives independently from a doctor without parental consent.
Yes.
Yep.
Good.
All good things.
Yep. Good evening, Miss Rachel. How are you, darling?
Hi, Rachel.
So we have a legislator trying to, in West Virginia, send us back to the 40s, the 30s. Please call, get it done. We already have enough high suicide rate with LGBT kids.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, very cool. Okay, that's a 50-50 good thing? I'm sorry. I'm assuming that's in response to the at 13. Okay, we'll wait for that to come back in. But yeah, no, like this is a topic that always ticks me off. Like the number of, and it was always a weird one at the college level.
Mm-hmm.
Because you could often tell really quickly the people that were hearing information for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
That like, and we used, once upon a time, we had like that jumping jacks kind of like, list of things that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
And you would just see people's eyes get really huge.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
it's, well, okay. I don't know. I go with double-digit age. You're pretty much, if you're not having the conversation already, yeah, you're very likely gonna end up in a situation in which becoming a grandparent very early could occur. And it's not that they're necessarily sexually active at, like, say 10. It's that this is when the questions typically at least start by. It's a good, like, pre-warning for, the experience of what's about to happen during puberty. But it's also like a really great time before, like, their friends start to, like, talk about sexual topics without knowledge.
Right.
Because they found something on the internet. And, just for a moment, I do want to make the comment, Pornhub is a poor sex health educator. Like, you can get some really screwed up messages depending upon what you watch.
Well, not only that, but then we have the whole other subject here. We have teens killing themselves because they think they're not right.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay. Yeah. Well, and honestly, I think non-medical forms are okay post-puberty before kids have sex, but if they're not having sex and not gone through puberty at 13, I don't know why they would need a medical form of contraceptive. Now, I don't think anywhere is going to, if I remember right, typically I do not think you can start any form of birth control before your first period.
Right.
Like I don't think that's actually possible. Like
Right.
most doctors want you to at least have had your first before they will prescribe anything.
Oh,
Thanks, Brad. Bye, Brad.
Bye.
Hey, oh goodness, the fun we have sometimes.
Yay!
Well, I'm just trying to remember. It's again, some of this gets a little old in my head, but I don't think you can.
No.
Like, as in, no doctor will do it because they want you to at least have the experience, not like it's a positive experience that everyone, like you'll cherish just for the rest of your life. It's not that. It's literally to, one, ensure that everything is working correctly and doing what it should before they start prescribing medication that is going to alter that. So that you know what normal is, and then if like you have issues with your birth control form, you at least know what to expect. And it also gives you an idea that as you're moving through, or if you have to move through forms of birth control, that you also know what's irregular and like what isn't just like, oh, it's cramps, to like, no, seriously, that's a serious problem and you need to come in.
Right. And then also there's a lot of, I think that has to be an informed decision with the child. And at that one, I do think a parent and a psychologist needs to be brought in.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Sorry. I was going a different direction on birth control, not the transitioning.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry. Took me a second.
Yeah. If the child is already identified as trans and wants it, then look at your risk, weigh out your risk, talk with your doctor. I would support it, definitely. Especially if it's going to cause harm. And I do mean major harm psychologically, and then that leads to physical harm.
Yeah, well, and that's the big thing that I think there's a number of parents don't weigh in there.
Right.
Is like, as much as you may not want your child to transition, and you may, be totally against them and blah, 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 you still have to weigh in the other side of this, is what's going to happen if I, block this.
Right.
And prevent them
from
doing this.
Right.
Like, is your personal belief and opinion about, gender something you want to force on this child, and are you ready for the repercussions of it?
Right.
Yeah.
That's my understanding. I understand I am not trans. Have some really nice friends that are, but I've also been and remember the horror stories that we've heard, the horror stories that have come out in the news, and if giving them a pill that, gee, if they decide to stop tomorrow, changes that outcome, what's it going to hurt? Nothing. A voice dropping and hair coming in today, or 5 years from now, 6 years from now, isn't going to hurt anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then also with and depending upon, like, especially, and I'm assuming the question was related to, like, say, that those teenage years. There's a lot of, like, to some degree, a push, if you can, in that puberty, like, segment, go ahead and start. Like, if you already know, and like, you know, you've known this was coming, you know it was going to happen, if you can start then, it can actually make the transitioning process more, make the puberty process a more typical process for their gender.
Right.
So that instead of having to do the, you know, you went through puberty as a man, and now you are gender transitioning to a woman, you are to some degree going through the puberty process of a woman, not one of a man.
Right.
And vice versa. So that your body, like, you don't have to fight your body.
Right.
And what it did during puberty, you are just kind of changing that outcome.
Right. But, and, you know, the people aren't going to like my view on this. Neither camp is going to like my view on this, and I'll make it really clear.
Okay.
I think when a child is 10, 13, 14, 15, up to about 22, block the puberty. Great. We'll block it or hold it off. You take your pill, you take your shot, whatever. And then, but you have to do additional steps. You have to do therapy. You're going to need therapy anyhow. Your family's going to need therapy. Before you start taking major steps. Like, I don't think an 11-year-old needs top surgery, bottom surgery. No. And I don't think there are many surgeons that will.
Right. Like, you would have to look long and hard to find that. But now, as for, you know, hormonally, typically that's considered non-harmful. Like, there are risks now, that's always a thing you're going to get counseled on in gender transition.
Right.
Is that there are risks. Like, you know, for instance, with testosterone, you may be increasing risk of cancer, risk of heart attack. And I think also the same applies for estrogen.
Right.
That either of those hormones applied to you, you know, it can increase your risks.
Right.
And those are considerations.
Right.
Like, there's not just one way to transition. Like, and I do have a problem with that, and maybe that's not an appropriate problem to have. Exactly, but there's more than one way to transition. Like, we always talk about it like it is one set of things.
Right.
That you know, that if you are trans, you have to take hormones, you have to have surgeries, you have to do these things. Not necessarily. You know, consider it a buffet of options, not necessarily this is all your options.
Right.
Like, there are many, you know, women who have transitioned male to female that never get bottom surgery.
Right.
It's not, you know, it's not important.
Right.
Or it's not a surgery that they can afford, or it is not a surgery that is something they want to deal with.
Right. And there's a lot of them that, you know, a lot of people that work 3 and 4 jobs to go to, I believe it's Hong Kong or somewhere in the Isles to get it done, because in the US it's 5 years and 3 times the cost.
Right. Well, and then there's also the issue that it is a very major surgery, and it has nothing to do with their gender identity, but it's the fact that it's not always the best, like, option. In that, and things are always getting better, but especially on female to male transition bottom surgery, there is still not a really good solution there.
Right.
It's unfortunately you are not going to get an actual typical penis per se out of this. It's a presentation piece, so to speak. It gives you that appearance, and for many people, that is very affirming of their gender. But it is still, you're having to create something your body doesn't have.
Correct.
And that is still not a perfected surgery. Like, that is not a settled surgery that, yes, we can totally do that. Like, we can, now a lot has been said potentially about what could occur with stem cells.
Well, that
and
is
ability
also
to
right, but they're also looking at tissue growth. Okay, and because they've been able to regrow ears and other functional pieces, they're looking at if that's a possibility. Now, so we have that happening in the state.
Yeah.
This same person that introduced this bill, his county seat for his little lovely area of Kanawha County was just declared an HIV hotspot. Actually, it's the highest and most increasing outbreak going on in the state of Charleston, West Virginia.
Well, in the state of West Virginia is also currently we have had more HIV positive tests for intravenous drug users than I believe New York. Like, let that settle in for you for a second. Kanawha County, West Virginia versus New York. Like, that's saying a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
And yes, it does.
Well, there can be a lot of nerve damage. There's also a lot that goes into that.
Right.
And just to go total medical for just a second. Effectively what you're going to be doing with a female to male bottom transition surgery is going to end up being visual more than in many cases functional. Not as completely non-functional, but the systems for ejaculation are not there. So it's a non-ejaculatory penis. The system, the musculature for erection is not there. That is a mechanical erection, and that's still an option. That's not like standard package. That's an option. And then sensation wise, you're going to have limited amounts of that. So it can become more of a mental penis than actual physical penis sensation. So, lot to consider there, and it is why there is a lot more of a or a lack of people exploring that option. Is because that specifically adding a penis isn't necessarily all that great of a final outcome for people. Depending upon, like, mileage varies. For some people, it is exactly what they need. For others, no. They're like, it's okay. I'll keep what's there. I don't need bottom surgery. The inverse, however, can be different. that effectively, while you will have nerve damage from slicing the penis to create a vagina, there's typically better nerve response. Just because even though you are inverting a penis, that's actually a little bit easier than, because you cannot invert a vagina.
Right.
Like, you cannot pull everything out to make a penis.
Right. And yeah, this, it scares a lot of people. HIV outbreak scares a lot of people. There's medications now on both sides of the fence, both to treat it and take it down to where it's like, yeah, I've got HIV, it's no big deal. Then you've got people on the other side that it's almost totally preventable if you can get the meds. Key point here, if you can get the meds. Because in some states they still aren't able to get the meds.
Yeah. Well, and I will not say at this point that HIV scares me. And with that, let me say this. It's not that I'm like, ooh, let me go out and get HIV, because that's no big deal. I'm not sitting here like the COVID-19 idiots who are like, just get it and get it over with. No, not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that no, HIV does not scare me. I count it in this is a thing that could happen. In the same realm of, I could have a heart attack, I could get hit by a bus, I could, be in a horrible, natural disaster. These are things that can happen. I know my risk factors, I know the choices that I'm making sexually, and how that works out in terms of, total risk.
Right.
And I also accept the consequences of the choices that I make. But additionally, I am also aware of the fact that this is not 1980.
Right.
This is not 1990 or the year 2000 or even the year 2010.
Right.
And that effectively in 2020 or 2021, if you are diagnosed HIV positive, it is not a death sentence. Treatment for HIV has gotten to a point you will die of natural causes before HIV will do anything bad to you, as long as you're getting tested regularly.
And taking your medicine.
Yes.
Following your regimens. It's not a scare. It's not a fear thing anymore. It's not the death sentence. It's like diabetes and heart disease and everything else. And what's scarier is the factor of people that need to hear that and need to start doing the testing every 6 months. Cute little blonde women. Don't care what he says. You need tested every 6 months to every year. Everybody should be tested every year. Okay.
Well, as a and no, I don't even care. Like I do want to say this. I don't care if you're married. I do not care if you are 100% certain that you have could never be exposed. Please get tested.
Yes.
Point blank. I don't care if you're 99 years old. Get tested.
Yeah, because the 99-year-olds are the ones that are having the most. We're seeing the most spike and raise in.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of that has to do, and especially when you consider, if you were married prior to, and I have been continuously married since the 70s or earlier, most likely you have potentially never had an STD test, or you have not had one in this century. Okay. Meanwhile, the last time you were sexually active with a different partner, and this is assuming you have a perfect marriage, there was no cheating, on either part, and you're not swingers, you have been in a monogamous relationship since the 70s. Okay. And say that partner dies, that partner divorces you, whatever, and you're re-entering dating. Okay, part one is by now you are most likely no longer concerned with pregnancy. If you're dating within your age range, because more than likely, if you have been married since the 70s, you and your partner, if you're heterosexual, you've gone through menopause.
Mm-hmm.
Pregnancy is no longer an option, which in many cases, well, for most, but so things like birth control and condoms are typically lower use. Also, generally, people that have been in a long-term committed relationship that long have forgone condoms many years before.
Mm-hmm.
Additionally, you're dealing with sexual health education up to and prior to 1970, in which your biggest concerns would have been syphilis, gonorrhea, and I believe chlamydia would be the three big ones.
Mm-hmm.
You probably have a lot of outdated information on those.
Mm-hmm.
You're also, as a sexual partner, especially women, are going to be more likely to defer to the men in your relationship,
right,
regarding condom use, etc. And that's a holdover, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
The way you were taught about relationships, and sex,
right,
because it's like 1970 and prior, very little information there about female sexual enjoyment. So unless you have kept up, yeah, you re-educate. Like, you're coming out of a relationship, you need to start over on your literal sexual health education if you have been in a relationship that long.
right,
and the world's changed.
right. But we need our doctors to change.
Mm-hmm.
They want to run a BNC all the time. They want to run your A1C all the time. They want to run your cholesterol test all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They need to run your sexual health test too.
Yep.
Yep. All right, moving on to the Fed. So go into Kanawha County, because we talked about this before the show, and you started going into it, and I'm like, will you please hold up?
Oh, which part?
Oh, their failed needle test exchange. Their failed health department.
Yes. So Kanawha County has effectively created make the police chief who doesn't agree at all with the needle exchange program, because it is quote unquote, enabling the junkies to take over. And that's not a direct quote, but that's effectively what it boils down to. There is one group, Health Right, that is offering needle exchange and support services for people with substance abuse disorder in Kanawha County. It is not run by the county health department. The county health department had a program that was following federal guidelines for needle exchange. That was considered too extreme. So Health Right runs a program with serial numbered syringes with retractable tips, is a one-to-one only exchange, requires local photo ID, and is primarily focused on rehabilitative services.
Mm-hmm.
So it's effectively a preach at you session.
Mm-hmm.
literally not following any of the recommended guidelines. None of them. It also requires registration. It's a big, giant mess of a program. And it has effectively led to this. One, it is the most underserving program compared to numbers before all of this took effect. Very few people are effectively using it. Like we're seeing like a very small population using the service that does not correlate with the number of people with substance use disorder.
Right. Well, and not only that, but giving out needles, literally, if you're on an allergy exchange, they hand them out like candy. But
well, that's after you go through the hell of getting your pharmacist to give you the box.
Well, true.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Which do we want? Do we want people dying in the streets? Or do we want them safe?
And it is a very big amount of harm reduction. You very much, with a appropriately run, based on federal standards, needle exchange program, we would not be here. Point blank, we would not be an HIV IV drug user hotspot. Would not have happened. Because those programs are a lot more, way less restrictive. But additionally, we also have another legal problem, which the entire country has: drug paraphernalia. And what ultimately that means is, having a syringe that would test positive for drug use, or for a drug, that it has been used with drugs, effectively turns that into an item of drug paraphernalia and is its own separate charge. This is what is ultimately leading to the problem that when the Kanawha County or the Charleston police chief is talking about the problem of, they're leaving them all over town and they're all over the playgrounds and the parks and, all these, used needles. Hence the want for a retractable needle. One, that's a very bad needle. But two, our drug paraphernalia criminalization is exactly what's leading to that.
Right. But
if you remove that part of it.
Right. And if you do it a one-to-one exchange, clean for dirty, 1-to-1, no questions asked. You bring me 10 needles, I give you 10 needles.
Now technical federal guideline for those programs is 1 + 1 + 1.
That's fine.
Which is, you bring in 3, you get 4. You bring back those 4, you get 5. Until you say, no, I'm good, that's enough.
Right. You couple that with no pressure options, i.e., yep, you're coming to get your needles today. Would you like to look at your substance abuse disorder and how it can be treated? Do you want to try to get help? Yes, no, maybe. Great.
Yep. And additionally, support services in general. Have you had a hot meal? Are you in a domestic violence situation? Are you, and looking at the health of whole people.
Right.
Treating it like a literal mobile medical clinic.
Right.
And all the things you would get there.
Right.
At least as far as human decency and respect.
Right.
That, yes, you may be making a choice I don't agree with, or I, can offer solutions that are different from, that, include getting rid of that choice. But letting those be choices people make. Forced rehab typically, overwhelmingly, does not work. Even choice rehab has a high rate of failure. Typically, someone who has substance abuse disorder is going to need multiple attempts to succeed before they succeed.
Right. And the more, and let me say that, the less hoops we make them go through to get that, the better it is. The quicker it is. The better they get treatment for their disorders.
Oh, yeah. And in turn, it becomes less of a community problem. Because right now, if I remember the number correctly, it is 38 people that are HIV, IV drug user HIV positive. Just popped up in the community of Kanawha County.
Yep.
Okay, what typically happens there is you then have to start contact tracing and trying to figure out when their last HIV test was, which for many people can be never, especially if they're not in a risk population or they have a physician or they do not have a physician. But especially if they have a physician that does not ask sexual health questions.
Right.
Many people, the only doctor they ever see is a clinic doctor at a local health clinic.
Right.
And if that doctor is failing to ask about sexual activity and risk factors, then you can potentially have someone that's never had an STD test ever. And then you have to start trying to figure out, okay, what just happened? Have they been HIV positive for, a few months, a few years? And how many people have they been in contact with? And how much bigger is this balloon going to get? Because 38 are people who got tested.
Right. Which if my numbers are probably old, that translates into 250 possible positive cases, and that's if they aren't old timers.
Right. The exact numbers, I do not remember how to compute, but I would say that is at least a starting number.
Right.
But depending upon what all someone is doing. If you have someone who is an IV drug user and they are a sex worker, and typically you see a number of drug-using sex workers also do not use condoms, you can potentially see those numbers escalate quickly.
Right. Which, if we take the guilt out of this medical situation, we treated IV drug users like normal everyday people that without a guilt trip, like you don't guilt trip diabetics. We treat sex workers just like coal miners. They both get complications from their work. We'd have a lot different society.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. So on to happier news. The House has passed the Equality Act, expanding the Civil Rights Law of 1964.
So at this point, we're now waiting, and that is U.S., and we are now waiting for the Senate to take this on.
Which means next week.
Pardon?
It's next week they're taking it on.
Yes. So, and effectively, yay.
Yeah.
It's gotten this far.
Right.
Because I think, what is this, the first or second time it's actually even made it out of committee?
This is the first time out of committee.
Yes. Yes, the House vote finished with a pass.
Yep. It is moving on to the Senate. It finished last night.
So now it becomes a question of, can we get the votes in the Senate? And that could get interesting.
Yeah.
I think we might end up seeing some people I think it may end up being a close vote, but I think you're going to have some random people on opposite sides.
Well, I think we need to urge, tweet, and call our senators and remind them who they work for.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And of course,
quite frankly, the Equality Act, like, oh, this has been the most circular process to get here.
mm-hmm.
It's kind of like we keep seeing this problem of like we're trying to get legal protections, and then we have to fight the religious argument, and then we have to fight the Title VII
Mm-hmm.
argument.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we finally won the Title VII argument.
Right.
Okay, now we come back to this one, and it's like now we're going to get into the religious argument again. I know it's going to happen on the Senate floor.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be, I hope it becomes the like shit show stupid hour that it needs to be.
Right. But I also think that really, really important, because when we won the Title VII article, and that was a big, big thing. When you won the right for marriage, that was a big, big thing. This will stop putting into debate
Mm-hmm.
the rights to live where you want, work where you want, do your job as you want, for everybody. There'll still be cases. There'll be lawsuits. There's been lawsuits constantly. That's just part of it. But it finally puts most of the rights to be an equal living human legal.
Yes, regardless of someone else's religious or personal
Mm-hmm.
beliefs on the subject.
Right.
Like, and this is my hot take, and y'all can deal with this as you choose. I don't care that someone is sitting, and maybe even like Mr. Fred who popped in here earlier. I don't care if you sit there and think that I'm a faggot going to hell. That doesn't mean I should get fired and, not have a place to live and get run out of the town. Like, you can think that about me all you want to, but let me be me. Like, I can burn in the fires of hell. I don't know. I don't care. That's my choice in that regard. If that's all that's keeping you, like, from sucking a dick is that you might burn in hell, then I'm sorry for you.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll respect your religious belief on that. I'm over here.
Mm-hmm.
Let me be me.
Mm-hmm.
Let me do so with the same legal protections that you have.
Mm-hmm.
That's my.
Have to go through this constant debates, and the constant, oh, we want to move. Well, let's put the house up for sale. Let's buy the house. We're not renting.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so that was my hot take.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do many of this.
My hot take is religion needs to get the hell out of politics. There's a separation of church and state for a reason.
Yeah. Can we please separate those two again?
Because otherwise, I want to put my religious, belief in there, and 3 times 3, what they put out, they get back 3 times. Let's put that in law. My religion completely backs capital punishment. Let's get that moving again.
There is that.
I'm quite sure some butchers will get mad if we start putting some Catholic beliefs in there about selling anything but fish during Lent.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And of course, then the grocery store has to lose the pasta area, because pastafarians completely say that eating pasta is against their religion.
No, pastafarians are very pro pasta.
No, honey, they're okay. Maybe I knew some screwed up ones, but they were very anti-eating pasta, because that's eating body of their gods, and that should only be done in a religious circumstance.
Well, yeah, but I'd say that's still a pretty big dinner. Like, I'd say that goes through a lot of pasta.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say that's like sage at a witches convention.
Now, you came up with a new thing for me, so we'll just, and you can go ahead and tell your comment, just don't tell the situation.
Do what now?
You can tell the comment that you made, but you can't tell the situation.
What did I say?
How about a pool and a certain set of wood?
Oh my god! Oh my god! No, so I won't get into the specifics of the situation, but you and someone were picking on someone that was not me, and in either case. And I said, both of y'all need to be taken to the middle of a sagebrush forest and put into a pool of holy water. That is so wrong.
And it wasn't wrong.
Oh, yes, it was. Yes, it was. Like, yes.
Oh, hell. All right. So, let's see. So, there is a $500,000 reward for 2 French poodles.
Yes.
French bulldogs, not poodles.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. Lady Gaga. Now, this is the insanity of our world. Lady Gaga's lovely dog walker is walking her dogs. I think it's lovely if you're a dog walker. We could use your services around here. I will accept a solicitation between 2 and 4 o'clock. Please bring your leashes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Lady Gaga's dogs.
Yes.
So, yes, continue. Dog walker is walking her dogs.
Taking her little puppies for a walk. Someone comes up and shoots them and steals the dogs. It's still unclear if they knew it was Lady Gaga's dogs or if they just saw French bulldogs, because they're very expensive dogs, very rare dogs in the States. She's offering a $500,000 reward, no questions asked. Return her dogs.
Yes.
Glitter not included.
Yes. I would have never considered I just never would have thought of like dog walker being a high risk occupation, but it does bring up the fact that if you are a dog walker for very rare and expensive breeds, that could literally be a high risk occupation.
Yeah.
Like, I had never thought about it. I would have never, ever imagined that being a concern. Like, because a lot of people will kind of be like, you're a fucking dog walker. Like, not my opinion, but, like, it's been made fun of and, you know, all through, like, movies and television and everything else, that it's, like, one of those stupid jobs that, like, you know, whatever. No, it isn't. It's of service and it's fucking useful. Like, get over yourself. You sit at a fucking desk and, you know, gamble on stock. You like, please. Because it's usually some a-hole has a weirdo job. That says shit like that.
Right.
But anyway, my point being, but yeah. No, not shot the dog. Shot the dog walker. Yes, there you go.
Yeah, the dog walker was shot. It is reported anywhere between 1 to 4 times. They are in critical condition, and being medically treated. But I'm thinking, and you know, Ashley says, how does she plan to know if it's her dogs? She'll know it's her dogs or not. One, they're so rare, it's ridiculous.
Oh, but you know those dogs are chipped.
Well, not only are they chipped, but I'm sorry, I can pick Prissy and Vlad at 100 paces. Like, Vlad ever has gone 100 paces away from me since I got him, but yeah.
Fair. But no, there's that, as well as I'm sure those dogs are chipped.
Yes.
Like, there is no way in hell you own dogs that rare and expensive. That you don't you decide to skimp out at the vet's office and be like, nah, we'll skip the chipping. Like, please. Yeah, it's a totally legit legit job. Like, that's a thing. It's a personal service. Like, quit looking down at the people helping you make money because you don't have to stop and do that.
Right. $10,000 for a puppy.
Yeah. Yeah. Solovy's pointing out I have 3 all black cats and they all look different.
Yep.
Yeah. But I absolutely hate this for the dog walker. Like, I just can't. And again, it was something I would have never imagined would be a concern.
Yeah.
Like, it had never crossed my mind that with the expensive and rare nature of some dogs, this could be a serious issue.
Well, this could be a serious issue on both the dog and the dog walker. Because, all right, top of the line, purebred French Bulldog Poodle from France on a royal line, $10,000 as a puppy. If it is a female, and she can have 3 puppies a year for an average of 7 years, that's $10,000 a puppy. That's a major expense, a major investment there.
Well, or has potentially major value, and that's just assuming you're an ethical breeder.
Yeah.
And that you're not, going to force this dog into being a puppy mill.
Right. I think that this is one of the breeds that you can't force into a puppy mill. Like, they just won't. That's one reason they're so rare, is they won't breed that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Frenchies only normally have 2 litters because they have CSEC normally?
They have to be C-sectioned.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That was my first thought when I saw that, but I was like, is that what that actually means?
C-sectioned.
Like, for a dog?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, that's so sad.
Honey, they have dialysis for doggies.
Well, I get that part. Like, I got that. I just never thought about, like, breeding an animal that cannot naturally have birth. As in, now we have to C-section the dog. Because the dog is incapable of giving natural birth. Like, that's a scary, like, place.
There's a few breeds that are that way. They've gotten so, like the small toy poodles.
Oh yeah,
I believe they're C-sectioned also because it's just too high risk.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah, good. Well, in a sense, a good investment, $30,000 a year for a litter of 3. But then, what the hell are your vet costs if you have to C-section the dog? Like, I can't imagine, like, the veterinary expenses for most animal procedures are usually kind of high anyway.
Right.
So compared to that 30,000, that's probably like, a chunk of the vet bill. Like, not the whole vet bill, but a chunk of it.
Yeah. No, the teddy bear, I'm just going to name the marketing. The teddy bear dogs, they're C-sectioned, I know for sure. Because I dated a guy that had one, and they're complicated.
Aw.
Yeah.
The teddy bear dogs?
Like Prissy, but smaller. Toy version. The ones that I want one of those.
Aw. Oh, wow. Yeah, 3,000. Okay, so maybe not as bad as I thought. So Ashley has a girlfriend that paid $3,000 for her pit to have an 8-pup litter C-section. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, though. That's.
Yeah. So this is a major money thing, and dog workers may have to start taking out insurance and buying bulletproof. They may need more than just some mace.
If they were, like, honestly, I wouldn't have even thought going into that. I really hope there's like guides for starting your dog walking business that clearly indicate the risks. Like, I would never have thought of that. Like, I had like gotten up this morning and been like, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to become a dog walker. That would have never occurred to me as a thing that would happen.
Right.
Like the risk of it, even the thoughts of it, like I would have been like, are you kidding me? Like if someone just told me that, like, you could be shot at any time for the dogs, I would have been like, get the fuck out of here. Like, are you crazy? Like, I'm a dog walker. I'm not guarding the Queen of England.
Well, I'm sorry. Have you seen some of the wheels dogs are included into? And how do you even want to rethink that?
That's a fair point. That's a very fair point.
By the way, thank you, glass door. Glass ceiling. You may want to rethink that.
What?
For 2 walks a day, expect to pay between $30 and $45 a day.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and it's a legitimate service, especially as people are working like 80-hour weeks and shit. Like, I'm sorry, I remember myself working 80-hour weeks.
Right.
Like, there was a reason I didn't have pets.
Right.
One, it totally not fair to an animal to lock them in a house, companion for that many hours a week.
Right.
But two, like, if you had told me when I got home at 1 a.m, I have to go walk a dog, like, I don't think I would have gone home. Like, and as horrible as that sounds, like, I would have just driven off the nearest bridge.
Right.
Like, I was so exhausted at that point. Like, I couldn't care for a pet. Are you kidding me? Like, my house plants were dead.
Right. Lady Gaga is currently currently on tour, but the puppies were living in LA, in her home in LA. She has an apartment in New York, but she's really not been there a lot.
It's going to be nice to have a house that you don't visit.
Well, not being there a lot. I mean, she's on tour, honey.
Well, no, I get that part. I just mean, though, to have a whole house that you're like, oh, yeah, I go there sometimes.
Well, it's kind of like
in New York.
Yeah. I think it's kind of, the way I see it is my little fishbowl version of that was an apartment in, Morgantown and an apartment in Marmette. In Marmette. It's just like, we're going to the apartment in Marmette tonight. We're going to the apartment here. I could definitely get used to that sentence. Of course, I cannot wait to say, we're going to the house on the lake, guys, this weekend. We will be back Tuesday.
Yeah. Okay, so on Ashley's comment, I wonder how tours look like post-COVID. I do have to point out, I saw the greatest little meme about Nickelback, and it was Nickelback on tour continues playing out to empty stadiums. I thought I was going to die. I really did. I was like, ooh, that is so bad.
Right. I don't know how it's going to work out. I think it'll be very differently. Yeah.
I would say so. Although that depends upon where she's touring.
Right.
Because other parts of the world kind of got through this pretty well.
Yeah.
And it may be a more, I'm not saying totally normal, but a more normal experience.
Right. She's in Rome currently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something tells me that there's going to be photo shoots of that. Like, can you imagine Lady Gaga, like normal tour costume Lady Gaga, like standing next to the Vatican? Like, that would be a cool photo shoot. That's just me, though.
Well, I keep flashing back to Madonna. Every time I look at her, I see Madonna. And I think it's Papa Don't Preach is the video. And I'm thinking about that nowadays, how cool that would be done if it was done in St. Paul's Cathedral. That would be awesome.
I don't think you'll get St. Paul's to go for that one.
It's Lady Gaga. She can get anything she wants. The Pope enjoys her music.
I don't know. But I do. While I was saying that, I was thinking back to Dogma, the movie, and Buddy Christ, and going, I don't know. Then again, St. Paul's would be like, but for the exposure, you know, like whatever gets bucked into you.
I haven't watched Drag Race since when Ginger Minch was on, because I love Ginger Minch. Her, and it was All Stars, one of the All Stars she did.
Yeah, like the U.S. Has a lot. But there are large parts of the world that are like, this is going much, 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 much better.
There are some parts of the world that are returning back to normal life. Australia, they're already done with masks, everything all done.
Yes. Aww. Well, you'll definitely have to check out the Drag Race episode from tonight.
I will. I'll get the pit stop. I watch the pit stop a lot. I kind of like the pit stop better.
Okay.
And the reason for that is I can watch it in 5 minutes, see the whole episode's high points, and decide if I need to go watch any of it. Because the two parts I enjoy with Drag Race, they're going farther and farther away from. I enjoy the runway, and I enjoy the lip syncs. I'm not seeing a lot of that in a lot of the episodes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can understand. Like, so is it like Drag Race did kind of that, like, we're just going to go totally on a tangent and, like, fill the episode with a bunch of other, like, stuff? Or is it going like the real world, like, reality television thing where it's more about the drama of, like, you know, drag queen says blah, 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 and yada, 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 and it looks like, you know, Desperate Housewives of LA, but with better makeup and hair?
Yes, a lot of it was getting that way. And some of the challenges, I was just like, this isn't a challenge. Sorry, you know, design a product, design a commercial to run for president. Those aren't challenges. Those are every weekend drag performances. Give me something big. Give me a ball, a real ball.
There we go.
Yeah.
Actually, like, definitely not the real world.
That, and, you know, like, Lip Sync Assassin was being brought in, and I'm like, no. This is
okay, she's saying this season is way closer to what you like.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah. For those that don't know, I am a drag snob. I am a classic drag snob.
You're a Paris is Burning drag follower.
Yes.
Not a what the hell trailer park prize night is this?
Exactly.
Which was actually a thing in Greensboro. Do what now?
Still is.
Yeah. Well, it still is.
Yeah.
But yeah.
There is still in this trailer park.
Which is an interesting concept in drag just to begin with. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. So you had a fun story you wanted to talk about.
Oh, gosh. I can't even remember. It's been such a day. So what's my fun story?
Oh. Steampunk 5 is being held off because of ransomware. That was a thing.
Oh, wow. That's sad.
Congratulations, Ashley, to your cousin.
Aw, congratulations.
Breaking his femur in a car accident after he's had multiple back surgeries.
Yeah, Tiger Woods.
I don't think he's making the Masters.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's all. That's all happened. Is he had a car wreck? He broke a femur. He's had multiple back surgeries. He's in the hospital. No, he apparently lost control of the vehicle. He was angry. like there isn't much of a hot topical story there because he isn't. He wasn't high on drugs. He wasn't intoxicated. This is just celebrity had a bad car accident.
No Perkins waitress was harmed.
Right.
That's as hot topic as I can get on that.
Yeah.
Sorry. That was sometimes I see a story and I go, oh, this has all the makings for like crazy.
Right.
And then, no, this is just, he unfortunately had a car accident.
Yeah. It isn't a big thing. They happen all the time. This occurs. The femur and the kneecaps are the most often injured in automobile accidents with the back. It'll be a debate on whether he can play golf again. Of course, his back looks like a steel cage. Like the last accident he had when he was hyped up on drugs, done a lot of damage. This one broke a femur. He bit a pin in it. Yes, there's a risk of infection. Guess what? Most hip surgeries do get infected. He'll go on some really strong antibiotics.
Yeah, definitely hoping he can heal up and keep his independence. And that's a big thing with like accidents and like spine, like back and spine issues. Like a lot of things can go wrong there. Like there really can.
Right.
But yeah.
Right.
No, I'm sorry. I'm trying to remember what. Sorry, guys. It's been a day. My brain checked out a few hours ago. I can't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. It was some warm-hearted story. Because you're like, oh, this is lighter news.
And then lighter news. Okay, let me see if I brought it up just in case. Oh! It's not really that good of a story. Like it's okay. It is a fun one. It is a fun one. So we've been talking on the show over the last couple of weeks about Jim Justice's like dumbass repeal the income tax, increase the sales tax, dumbass plan. Okay. So then he did a press conference, a town hall technically, in which he absolutely said the following. We went out and passed the right to work law. We got rid of prevailing wage. We built fields all over the place thinking that they will come. They didn't come, did they?
Well, I believe there was something about running to the windows to see if they're there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, basically what this is West Virginia, over the last several years, has made us a right-to-work state, in which which really just means you can be fired at any time for any reason. And we have gotten rid of prevailing wage, which is really important with a lot of like subcontractor work or contractor-based work, in that skilled professionals be not just paid a wage, but a wage prevalent in their field. Mm-hmm. So that, you're not creating this super undercut in bidding to get jobs, in which someone who should be, say a licensed electrician, those rates would have been always based on prevailing wage. So you couldn't lowball a skilled service professional.
Right.
We repealed that. So now, you're kind of screwed there. All of this in hopes of bringing jobs to West Virginia. With a great big goose egg of result. All of this, now the extremities of this are best exemplified. Chandler Swope. It's difficult to prove statistically whether right to work is paid off or not, There are many reasons why companies make decisions to come to one state or another. Right to work is only one of them. Who went on to say that in, well, I'll just read the paragraph. But Swope, who is from Mercer County, provided an anecdote about companies choosing to locate elsewhere before right to work was in effect in West Virginia. Nearly every time, the answer immediately was, you mean only have to drive 4 miles to get to a right to work state? See you later. That happened not once or twice, but nearly dozens of times.
Mm-hmm. See, but here's the thing. They keep thinking taxes and tax breaks and everything else. Problem is they haven't realized corporations look at how they're going to get their service people to live and work there. Google did not move to Mercer County.
Mm-hmm.
And, GoDaddy looked at moving to West Virginia. There wasn't services that they needed here. They couldn't secure housing for their employees. They couldn't secure internet services for their company.
Mm-hmm.
Companies aren't going to move to Podunkville when they can't even pay people to live there. We can't even get teachers to live in Welch.
Yeah.
And that's providing them a house. We will provide you a house to live in. We will provide you $36,000 a year to teach our children. I have to drive 2 hours to a grocery store? No, thank you.
Exactly. Like, it's been a mess.
Right.
But then on the opposite side of this, is Josh Sword, president of the West Virginia Union Organization. Governor Justice has a history of switching sides, so we hope that this candid moment is the beginning of a reversal of West Virginia's anti-worker agenda. Love it. Governor Justice admitted in the plainest possible terms what working people have known for generations. Right to work is a lie that provides neither right nor work. So, yeah. Now, there's a fun part to all of this story. And it comes in the form of when, and this is from Mike Romano, the Harrison County representative. I remember during those debates that there were promises made or vows that if it didn't work, we'd repeal them. We'd take it back. We'd admit we were wrong and be the bigger people in the room and say, we were wrong. We repeal them. Mr. President, I ask you to do that. And Mr. President being Senate President Craig Blair.
Yeah.
So the drama that has unfolded out of like literally a tiny snippet of what Justice said. I love it. 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 I think it was probably a slip of the tongue and a truthful moment out of the dumbass.
I agree.
I really do.
I agree. Now, I want to see his infrastructure plan, his broadband plan, and I also want to see his plan for improving the small town businesses that these people want to work in. These, are you going to contact Kroger's and give them the same deal you give Walmart to come into a town? Are you going to contact TJ Maxx and see if they'll go to Welch? Are you going to finish putting a road to Welch? By the way, we're going to do that video this summer. I don't care if I have to drive it or you have to drive it, of the road to Welch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, yeah. And the fun part is we can video it. We cannot stream it.
Right.
Because there's no cell phone service.
Yeah.
That's like a thing. Like, just realize that in the world. We could typically, like, there's very few places in, like, say, like, there's parts of, like, the county we're in, in which, no, you cannot live stream from there. Like, New River Gorge, you cannot live stream from. Like, yes, good luck getting this thing. Really?
Yeah. If you are an AT&T, you can live stream from New River Gorge.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, the road to Welch. It's a small little town. in the middle of McDowell County.
Mm-hmm.
There is a 2-lane road in, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of West Virginia is very much built on some really old roads that are literally the only way in and out. And that road has a lot of issues, not least of which involves trains.
Yes.
Yeah. And can literally mean the difference between life and death in an emergency.
Mm-hmm. So we will be look for that this summer, because we are taking time to finally do this video project he wanted to do.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm putting it on the calendar.
Okay. I'm very cool with that.
Yeah.
Like, we bought the stuff to do it, and then, I don't know, the world got crazy.
I think you lost confidence.
No, I did not. Well, I sort of was afraid that we couldn't keep the cam steady enough, and it would just be like, hi, and welcome to Welch.
But again, we want that. I want them to see how bumpy the road is.
Yeah.
Hi, Gwen.
Hey, Gwen. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's scary. Like, there's a lot of, for people who are not from West Virginia, there's a lot of really, for not being from here, really scary roads in this state. Like, I think another one, because you have, Devil's Elbow? Is that it?
You mean 61?
Huh?
61, yeah, Devil's Elbow.
Yeah. There's that one, and the first time I saw pictures of that one, I went, is that from Kegley? Because there's a similar, crazy-ass hairpin in Mercer County, but in Kegley, or leading into Kegley. And it's the same kind of thing, the number of people that road can kill. Because if you don't know what you're doing and you've never been down it before and you're trying to move quickly, because parts of that road would encourage you to think you could, and you get to that curve, you're going to die. You're just going to die.
Right. Well, you need to take them down. So, Joe's got a really nice dash cam, so I may actually do a video and a talk over of us going through 61. My style.
Oh, yes. I just got to make sure we pack a towel that day. That's been the biggest problem with the dash cam, is that unfortunately the dash reflects onto the windshield, which gets picked up by the camera.
Okay. Well, we'll set business cards up there for advertisement.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. All right. But no, so it's been an interesting news week. Tomorrow I do have Psychic Power Saturday. On Psychic Power Saturday, my readings are $20. You can go ahead and book them now. Book them all day. Starting at 2 o'clock and running to 10 p.m. Both Zoom and phone.
Ooh, another thing we could do, though. Sorry, just thinking. I'm thinking in my head. I also want to go to Green Bank. And I think that would be a fun double video.
Okay.
Your experience of Green Bank.
Ooh, that would be interesting.
Yes. Just to see, does a giant satellite dish, what does that do to a psychic?
Well, not only that, but does the hum stop?
Fair point. Very fair point.
Since we're digging into this, let's go ahead and explain this. I call it the hum. It's this hum that I hear constantly. It sounds like someone has got a AFM radio turned down very low and onto that mid station of that crackle constantly. So I have to have TV on. When it's really bad, I turn the music on and turn it up so I don't hear it. But if I'm dead silence, I'll hear that. Kind of sounds like someone going all the time. I wonder if at Green Bank if that stops.
Or if it goes the other direction. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, for those of you not familiar, Green Bank and a good chunk surrounding it Green Bank is a space satellite installation in West Virginia that is also part of a much larger quiet zone for wireless signal. There is none. There's one tiny little radio station that operates there at very low power. You know, and it's an interesting situation to live in. Oh, yes. Oh, there we go. We have a question.
Precognition, dream analyzation, or precognitive, and then also possibly some mediumship with some astro projection perception.
Okay, and in reverse order, Kathy, 72862. I know I have a lot of gifts, but can you tell me my main three? There we go. Oh, yes. Oh, it is kind of nice when the power goes out for brief periods. I will give you that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Alrighty. I'm going to switch banners, guys.
Yes.
I'm sorry if this show's been a little bit all over the place. Again, I have a migraine.
Okay. Do you want to take Ashley real quick before we close out?
Of course, I'll take Ashley.
All right, Ashley, 82696. Am I getting financial relief by Monday? She's
probably Sunday.
Okay, probably Sunday. Well, of course, we love all of our baristas, and we appreciate their support through Patreon. And we would like to thank them: Beverly Walker, Mika G, Kathy, Mary Winfield, Brenda Bryant, and Ashley Guest. If you'd like to learn more about the show or how to become a Patreon, please visit us at PCSPnetwork.com. And back to you.
Yes, and our baristas are always important to us. We love having you, and your magazine will be out in a few days on your private website.
Yes.
And we will be updating our Patreon this coming month. We'll see. I get these every time that there's a weather situation, and we went from, what was it yesterday? So glorious.
Oh, you came in, you were so excited. It's like, it's 50-some degrees outside. And then today, can you just pull the picture over of the shit I dealt with driving earlier? Like, out of nowhere. I did not pay attention to the weather forecast. I do not remember this being forecasted. But, this is what I had trying to drive home.
Well, you have to, here it is. Never mind.
Yeah, there you go. It just take him a second to get it brought up. But, yeah, it was nuts. I just reached over to my phone and, snapped a picture. I was like, this is so crazy. It started as rain, and I'm fine with rain. But then it was like, okay, now there's sleet. And then it just got worse.
Right.
I honestly was starting to get scared. I'm not going to make it home because, my car started losing traction.
Right. Okay. I just want to make sure I've got it up right.
Okay. Yeah, it's not the best photo I've ever taken, but...
Well, no, it's me having to figure out, okay, where am I at? What are we sharing?
There we go. Yeah.
Sit up?
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, that's how bad the road conditions were. And that was my level of visibility. Yeah, it got worse. So yeah, sorry, just to share with you guys. Because that was a moment. I was seriously worried I'm not going to make it home. I'm not going to beat this storm. Oh my God.
Right.
So, yeah, it went from wonderful yesterday to horrible today.
And it went from me being able to go out in shorts to me calling for my slippers again.
Yes, and going, I'm taking ibuprofen and we're doing the show and I might not make it. And I'm sitting here going, yeah, and I'm now like 24 to 48 hours from my next sinus attack. So, yeah.
Yeah.
We don't do weather changes. Not rapid.
You'll say move to San Diego, 70 degrees most of the year.
Yeah.
Sunny most of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we could move to Death Valley and we'd probably have beachfront property in 10 years.
Fair. Like, wouldn't it be wild though to move there and build a beach house and then have everyone drive past and point and laugh, and then like 10 years later, like how it started, how it's going. Oh, 11111.
Yep.
Oh, 11. Got it.
Yep. All right, y'all. Good night. Have
Good
a great
night.
night. Have a safe weekend. Wear your mask. Wash your hands. If you get a chance to get a vaccine, get one. We'll be talking about the new one on Tuesday.
And Power Saturday. Did you mention that?
We mentioned it. You can mention it again, though.
Okay, so Power Saturday, totally tomorrow. Book your appointments.
Yep. Look for
I'm whoring him out. Like,
Yeah.
Does it behind the dumpster for quarters. Levels here, guys. Like, take him up on it.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
Yep. And look for live streams because we'll probably do a couple psychic live streams tomorrow. Bye, y'all.
Bye.